Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Jacob Teacher YouTube channel. Welcome back if you've seen me before. Welcome for the first time if this is your first time. And if this is your first time, my name is Jacob. I do live English lessons on this channel quite regularly, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, you're free to like, share, and do all of those other things to this video. I also have a free ebook available, 4 things you must do to get better at speaking English, and that is available for download in the link. The link to that download is available in the description of this video. I'm a little bit flustered right now because I was preparing for this live event. This happened like 2 minutes ago, and I was opening my drink here, and I guess it was very shaken up. So when I opened it, it exploded everywhere, and I got all wet, and I had to change my shirt, and it was not great. I'll put it that way. Anyways, that's how I'm doing. I hope that you're doing well too. Why don't you, if you're watching right now, let me know where you are watching from. Introduce yourself. We've got a great lesson tonight. We have a lot to talk about. I'm really excited about this lesson. And let's get started. Of course, we are talking about Lady Gaga. Okay, Lady Gaga, a very famous pop star. Let me just switch screens here. We're talking about her song, Perfect Illusion. And we have some regulars joining us. Sadawat, hello, good to see you, my friend. Madi says hello from Iran. Madi, thanks for joining. Let's get started with this lesson. I've got lots of questions for you this lesson, so there will be lots of opportunities for you to participate. Looks like Alan is joining us too. Hello, Alan. Thanks for joining. Good to see you, my friend. Sam is back. Hello, Sam. Thanks for joining. And let's start. So yeah, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga and her song Perfect Illusion. Perfect Illusion. So the way that I want to do this is we're going to look at, we're only going to study one verse and the chorus of this song because it would be too long otherwise. But in the first verse and in the chorus, there are some really great language points that I think would be helpful to know. So we're gonna go through the verse. I'm going to ask you questions as we progress through the song. We'll talk about the title of the song, Perfect Illusion, at the end. We'll talk about what the song may mean and all of those different things. But first, why don't we talk about Lady Gaga? Lady Gaga. So to be honest with you, I'm not too familiar with Lady Gaga. I know about her based off of what I read in the headlines sometimes. I haven't listened to much of her music. I know a few of her songs. But I was thinking about songs that I could look at for this lesson, and I saw this song, Perfect Illusion. I started reading the lyrics, I listened to the song, and it struck me as something that was worth talking about. So one thing that you could say about Lady Gaga is that, well, here are 2 great adjectives that you could use, 2 vocabulary words. So you could say that she is outlandish, that her style is outlandish. So outlandish, we use this adjective to talk about or to describe something that looks or sounds bizarre, something that is maybe strange or surprising to us. So for example, many people, and often we talk about this in terms of fashion or style. So Lady Gaga is famous for wearing all sorts of very outlandish dresses. In 2010, at an awards ceremony, there was a big controversy because she wore a dress that was made entirely out of raw meat. The dress was made entirely out of raw meat, so she's quite outlandish. Eccentric, that's the second word I have here, eccentric. It's kind of similar. It just means something unconventional, something different than everything else. And we use it to talk about either a person or a person's behavior. So we have what most people are like over here, how most people behave, and then there are eccentric people who are kind of outside of what is normal. So Lady Gaga is quite eccentric too. Her behavior, her performances, you can tell just by looking at this picture. She's quite eccentric. She doesn't really dress or act like the majority of society. So that is one thing that is quite apparent about Lady Gaga. She is also an activist. She's involved in a lot of different projects. Activism is, or an activist is someone who works to for changes towards, works for political and social change. So Lady Gaga, she's involved a lot with gay rights. She does a lot of things for gay rights around the world. She does a lot in terms of giving money to people who are victims of natural disasters. So I think she was heavily involved in the earthquake relief fund for Haiti in 2010 and Japan in 2011. So she's very involved in that sense. She also has her own foundation, the Born This Way Foundation, which is a charity that she runs, and that charity deals with, I believe it's a charity. I don't know exactly what she does, but she deals with youth issues. So issues that young people are facing, like bullying, self-confidence, and stuff like that. So these are the kinds of things that she does. Another reason that I wanted to look at her is her lyrics are quite interesting. This is really nice because most pop stars, I won't say all, but most pop stars tend to write songs that are kind of shallow in terms of their meaning. They don't really mean much. A lot of songs are just about, oh, love is great, oh, my life is great, whatever. They don't have much meaning, but Lady Gaga is different. I think that a lot of her songs, this song for sure, it has some deeper meanings to it. It tends to comment, this song, on, or her songs, they tend to comment on society, things that are happening in the world that are important. So her lyrics are a little deeper than the average pop stars, and she's nice to listen to for that reason, and helpful to listen to if you're learning English. You can learn a lot about how she uses language to make her points and to challenge us to think about certain things that she wants us to think about. Okay, so that was a lot. Let me just check on the chat room. Okay, we have some more people joining us, first timers, I believe. Yasin says, hello, teacher, nice to say. I want to say, what camera do you use when you come live? Your video is great. That's really good to hear, Yasin. Thanks for the comment. Because I'm honestly just using my laptop camera. So I have a MacBook Air, and I'm using the built-in webcam on my MacBook. So I'm glad that it's working well. And also the audio that I'm using is just my laptop audio. So I'm glad that it's working well. Sadowat says, yes, a rogue and flamboyant. So you can describe her that way too, exactly. Those are really great words to use. Sadowat, keep up the good work. I believe Sergey, I took Russian in college for 2 years. I forgot almost everything, but I believe that's Sergey saying hello to everyone. So Sergey, if that is you, if I can still read Russian, thank you for joining everyone today. Let's keep going. I've got a question for you in a little bit. First, I want to read the song, what we're going to be studying. I'm just going to read it through one time, and then we're going to look at it bit by bit. So let's start. A perfect illusion. Trying to keep control. Pressure's taken its toll. Stuck in the middle zone. I just want you alone. My guessing game is strong. Way too real to be wrong. Caught up in your show. Yeah, at least now I know. It wasn't love. It wasn't love. It was a perfect illusion, mistaken for love. It wasn't love. It was a perfect illusion, perfect illusion. Okay, so there's a lot there. I know if you're confused, don't worry about it. We're going to go through each part and look at what it means. So the first two lines I actually wanted to look at independently. So we have trying to keep control. Trying is just trying, T-R-Y-I-N-G. Often when we are speaking really fast, we get rid of the G, so it's trying or tryna. Even like when I'm speaking really fast, I'm trying to do this tonight. It kind of gets shortened even more. So just be aware of that pronunciation. This is another reason studying songs are so good, is for pronunciation. Oftentimes when we're speaking, we shorten words, we change the pronunciation. It doesn't always sound exactly like it looks. So trying to keep control. Now, keep control. We have this word, control, here. And I want to spend some time talking about this because it's a word that's used in many different ways. But basically, the word control, it means the ability to influence or direct someone's or something's behavior. Okay, so you have the ability, you have the power to influence something's behavior or someone's behavior. You have influence over that. So keep control. Well, let's look at another way that we could say this. Imagine a vehicle. Imagine a car, right? You're driving a car. You have your steering wheel here. You could say that when you're driving your car, you're trying to keep control of the car. When you're driving a car, you can direct where the car goes. Another way to say this is the car is under your control. So you have the ability to influence the car. Now think about the preposition under here. So here's you, here's your control. The car is under your control. It means you kind of direct where the car goes. So the car is under control. Everything is still in your control. What happens if you lose control of the car? If you're driving and you kind of you're going too fast, let's say, and you lose control. Well, here are two more phrases that we use for that. You could say out of control or lost control, lose control. So we use many different prepositions and phrases with the word control, and it's really helpful to know what these phrases mean. If you understand what control means, if it's your ability to influence something, then it will make sense to you, even if it's a little confusing. So again, imagine you're driving a car. If you lose control of the car is no longer under your control. It's chaos. You get into an accident. Hopefully not. But yeah, that's one way we can use it. Let's look at some examples. We also talk about control in the sense of being able to kind of restrain our emotions. So we talk about it in terms of emotions a lot. So you could say her anger was out of control. Again, think about this. We have control here. Imagine this woman who's angry, but the anger is still in her control. So she still has control of it. But if her anger was out of control, she doesn't have the ability to calm herself down. She can't restrain herself. You could say her anger was out of control. Another way to say this, the same meaning, she lost control of her anger. So she's no longer in control. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine that she managed to keep her anger under control. So she was angry, she was really angry, but she was in control of her anger. It wasn't controlling her. She was in control of her anger. I hope that makes sense to you. I want to ask you our first question of the night. I know I'm doing a lot of talking tonight. There will be some more questions, I promise. But tell me about a time when you lost control of your emotions. Once again, tell me about a time when you lost control of your emotions. Or, if you want, tell me about a time when you managed to keep your emotions under control. Tell me about a time when you managed to keep your emotions under control. I'll tell you a story of my own. So one time, I have a bad habit of losing control of my emotions when I'm driving sometimes. So sometimes if I'm driving and someone does something stupid on the road and it affects me, I'll get really, really mad, and sometimes I'll feel like I'm losing control of my emotions. I'll get so mad. Tell me about a time when I kept my emotions under control. So here's one example. 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, we had an open class at my school. An open class is when the parents are invited to sit and watch the class. During this class, I was very nervous with all of the parents watching, but I kept my emotions under control. I was very nervous, but my emotions were under control. Okay, they weren't affecting me, or at least they weren't controlling me. I had them under control. So in the comment section, please try and answer one of these questions. Tell me about a time when your emotions were under control or when you lost control. Okay, Madi says, okay, first I'm going to answer a question from Sam. Sam says, what does restrain mean? Restrain just means kind of hold back. Okay, so when we're talking about emotions, let's say, imagine a situation where you feel like you really, really want to say something, but if you said it, it would maybe be inappropriate, or it would maybe cause problems in a social setting. So you restrain yourself. You hold back. You don't do that thing. That's what restrain means. Okay, we have a sentence from Madi. I lose my control when I'm watching emotional movies and I cry sometimes. Okay, so Madi loses control sometimes when she's watching emotional movies. Yes, well, that's what emotional movies try to do to us too. Madi, here's how I would rephrase this. I lose control. We don't need my control in there. It sounds more natural if we say, I lose control when I watch emotional movies and cry sometimes. I lose control. Okay? Great work, great sentence. Thank you for the participation. Alan says, sometimes when I see someone who is speaking full of himself or herself, I'm going to lose my control. Great. So Alan is trying to use a phrase that we learned in our last live lesson, which is always great to see. I love when I see my students reusing phrases that we learned. Alan, here is how I would rephrase that. You could say, sometimes when I see someone who is full of himself, or who is speaking in a way that someone who is full of himself, I lose control. Okay? I lose control when I see someone who is full of himself speaking. It's himself or herself speaking. Okay? So good sentence. Thank you for the participation. Sadawat says, I am about to answer that. I usually lost control when I'm driving. Okay, so Sadawat has anger issues. Sadawat has anger issues like I do when driving. Yes, driving is, there's actually a really funny joke about that by a comedian who I really like. He talks about how so many of us tend to lose control when we're driving on the road. We get really, really angry. But it's such a dangerous thing that we're doing when we're driving. And it's a time when we should be the most compassionate, the most caring, the most sympathetic towards other people. Instead, we're the exact opposite. And I know it's true for me too. I have bad anger issues on the road. Okay, Sam says, I was under control when my dog had bit me. Okay, so I was under control when my dog had bit me. So your dog bit me, but I maintained, your dog bit you, but you maintained control. You kept, another great phrase you can say is, I kept my cool. I kept my cool. That's more idiomatic. I kept my cool when my dog bit me. I didn't, a better way to phrase that, Sam, would be in the negative. I didn't lose control when my dog bit me. I didn't lose control when my dog bit me. Sadawat says, I have to keep my emotions under control when arguing with someone. Yes, Sadawat, that's a very difficult thing to do, but I agree with you. A lot of the time, if you can keep things under control, if you can keep your cool when you're arguing with someone, it makes the argument for both people a lot better. Estella, thanks for joining. Sometimes you lose control when your kids don't pass their exams at school. Yes, that's very frustrating. I'm not a father myself. I don't have kids, but I imagine that would be frustrating. We always want the best for our kids. We always want them to do well in life. So hopefully they study hard. Let's keep going. Great. So much. Thank you all so much for the responses. So that was only one line of the song. It's already been 20 minutes. This is going to be a long lesson tonight, but that's okay. It's a Friday night, and I'm over here in Korea, and I'm happy to spend it with all of you. So again, the first line of that song was trying to keep control. So she's trying to keep her control. We can imagine it's a situation where things are difficult for her. Let's keep going. Pressure's taken its toll. Taken its toll. Now here is a great phrase that you can know in English. Taking its toll means to affect something negatively. So a good way to understand this is to understand what the word toll means. A toll is actually a fee that we have to pay sometimes for using a road or a bridge. So you know when you're driving, we're talking about driving lots tonight. You know when you're driving and on some roads or some highways, you have to actually pay money so that you can keep going or so that you can use a bridge. And there's a booth with a man there who takes your money. In English, we say you're paying a toll. That's what a toll is. So think about that. Taking its toll means to affect something negatively. There's kind of a relationship there. It would help to use or to look at some examples. So some example phrases. Weightlifting had taken its toll on his back. Weightlifting had taken its toll on his back. So imagine this person who loves weightlifting. They lift weights all the time. If you lift weights continuously, it's going to take its toll on your back, on your different body parts. So what that means is weightlifting had negatively affected his back. His back hurts now because he's been weightlifting. And again, imagine it in terms of literally taking something from something else. So in like when we're paying a toll, someone is taking money from us. In this example, weightlifting had taken its toll on his back. Here's another one. The long distance had taken a toll on their relationship. So when two people are in a romantic relationship, but they live in different cities or in different countries even, we call that a long distance relationship. And that's what this sentence is talking about. The long distance, so the distance between the two lovers, had taken a toll on their relationship. So it's causing problems. It's affecting the relationship negatively. Maybe they're arguing a little bit. Maybe who knows what's going on. But it's having a negative effect. It's taken a toll. And you can say taken its toll, taken a toll. Okay? So in this song, pressure's taking its toll. Pressure, so the pressure of something, we don't know what yet, is taking its toll. And what's implied here is on the singer. So pressure is negatively affecting her. It's taking its toll. A question for you, another question. What is something in your life that is taking its toll on you right now? So what is something that's happening in your life right now that is taking its toll on you? I'll give you my example. Trying to balance these videos, all of the stuff I'm doing as an online teacher, so these live lessons, the videos on my Facebook page, and all of that. Balancing that with my regular full-time job is taking its toll on me right now in the moment. It's hard to get enough sleep. It's hard to do everything that I want to do. It's really hard to hang out with friends and have a social life. So all of these things are taking a toll on me, taking its toll on me. Tell me in the comment section, what about yourself? What in your life is taking its toll on you? Okay. So we have a sentence from Sergey says, I go to English class. We have a very talkative student. Sometimes I think I'm able to lose control, or I lost control, but I keep my emotions under control. Sergey, great sentence. That actually reminds me of when I was in college, and sometimes I too got very frustrated inside with a few students who were, I don't know, bothering me for whatever reason with their comments. So sometimes, yeah, I can totally understand what you're saying. That can be very frustrating. Sergey, here's how I would rephrase that. I go to English class. There's a very talkative student there. We have a very talkative student, is okay. Sometimes I almost lose control. Sometimes I almost lose control. Or sometimes I think I'm going to lose control. So you can say it in a number of ways here. But I keep my emotions under control. That last part is perfect. Really great work. Thanks for the comment. Alan says, if you think you can't keep your madness under control, better never involve yourself in stuff that makes you angry. Okay, Alan, I know what you're saying. So, if you can't keep your anger, madness, we use the word madness more to kind of talk about craziness. So, mad does mean angry in some situations, but madness, I think, most often means like craziness, like going crazy. So a better word would be anger there. If you think you can't keep your anger under control, you'd better not involve yourself, or you'd better not, it's hard to rephrase that. If you think you can't keep your anger under control, you'd better not do things that make you angry. You could say you'd better not involve yourself in situations that make you angry, or that would be better. You'd better not put yourself in situations that make you angry. Okay, Alan, fall in love with wrong person always has taken its toll on your emotional and sentimental and makes beholder and a server heartbreak. Yes, Alan, heartbreak definitely takes its toll on us. It also allows us a lot of room to grow, right? So it takes a terrible toll on us. Of course, heartbreak does, but hopefully a lot of the time there's some positive that comes from heartbreak, I think, too. So you could say falling in love with the wrong person takes its toll on your emotional life. Does it need to be followed by the preposition on? Takes its toll, taken its toll. Well, if you look in the song, a lot of the time we just kind of leave it at taking its toll. So if we're talking about something that's affecting us, like in this song, the singer is talking about how pressure is taking its toll on her, you can leave the preposition out. So you can say, oh, work is really taking its toll, or this whatever, the lack of sleep is taking its toll. You can just end the sentence like that. You don't always need a preposition. I'm trying to think of times when we use it with a preposition other than on. And nothing is coming to mind right now. So when we do use it with a preposition, I think it's always with on, but Sarawat, to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure. I will look that up after this. I'm going to make a note so that I remember to look that up. Thank you for the question. And I'll leave my answer in the comment section. Okay, look up. We have another sentence from Sam who says, doing my projects these days, taking my toll deeply. So you could say, Sam, working on my projects, all the projects that I'm working on. So here's a great example of when we could use taking its toll without the preposition on after. So working on these projects is taking its toll. And what's implied is it's really difficult for me. It's affecting me negatively. It's taking its toll on me. But a lot of the time we can leave that preposition out and it's implied. So Sam, you could say doing my projects these days is taking its toll or is taking a toll. And I hope that the projects are at least worthwhile and that you find meaning in them and that they will benefit you once you're finished. Okay, so thank you again for the comments. Let's keep going. We're down 2 lines now and it's been half an hour. This might be the longest lesson yet. We will see. Okay, so for the rest of the first verse, I kind of grouped everything together. So we'll tackle this verse together all at once. Tackle is a verb you can use to talk about dealing with something. It just means deal with what you're going to do something. We're going to tackle this verse. We're going to try and understand it together. Tackle, it's a really good verb you can use there. Okay? Stuck in the middle zone, I just want you alone. My guessing game is strong, way too real to be wrong. Caught up in your show. Yeah, at least now I know. Okay? Let's start from the top. This is a difficult verse to understand. So, stuck in the middle zone. Well, what is stuck? Stuck is when you can't move. You're stuck. You can't move anywhere. Where is she stuck? She's stuck in the middle. The middle of what? We don't really know yet, right? But the middle of something is between two things. So she's stuck in the middle between two things. I just want you alone. Okay, so now all of a sudden, there's a you in the song. She's talking about another person who she just wants alone. She wants to be alone with this person. So stuck in the middle zone, I just want you alone. And before we had just trying to keep control, pressure's taking its toll. So there's this kind of nervous situation we gather. She's stuck in the middle. There's a lot of pressure that she's feeling. It's this anxious, kind of fearful situation it seems like we have in this song. Okay? My guessing game is strong, way too real to be wrong. I wanted to talk about the phrase guessing game here. Okay, so guessing game. Guessing game, now it's a little confusing here because she could be talking about two things. I think she's talking about number 2 in this example, but a guessing game, for one, is we're using the word guess to describe the kind of game it is. So we're using guessing to describe a game that requires guessing. So in class, sometimes with my students, I play a guessing game, a game where they have to guess where the right answer will be or what will show up on the screen. They have to guess. The second way that we use the word guess, or the second meaning that this could have, we often use game to talk about a skill or an ability. So for example, how's your cooking game? It means how are you at cooking? Are you good at cooking? You could say, this often happens in sports, you've got good game, or you've got game. It means you're good at this sport. Imagine you're playing basketball. and someone says, "Oh, you've got good game." If someone says that to you, what they're saying is you're good at basketball. Your skill is good. You've got good game. Now this is quite this is slang, so this isn't used that often. It's not used so often, but it's good to know because you do hear it from time to time. Okay, people actually also use they say you've got good game if they're talking about picking up women sometimes, or specifically men trying to pick up women. Sometimes men, and by pick up I mean flirt with and try and date ultimately. So pick or sorry, if someone says you've got good game, if a man says that to another man in that context, sometimes it means, oh, you're good at flirting with women. You have a way with women. Women seem to really like you. Okay? So, in this sense, I think she's talking about the second meaning. So her guessing game is strong. Her skill at guessing is good, if that makes sense. Way too real to be wrong. Okay? So it seems like what she's saying, to me, it seems like what she's saying is she's good at understanding the reality of her situation. She's good at understanding what's real about her situation. Her guessing game is too strong. It's way too real to be wrong. So she's real. She's able to understand people. Now, again, I should say this is a very confusing line for me too to understand. So this is my interpretation of it. I might not be entirely correct. I'll talk about why I think I'm correct a little later too. But this is what I think she's saying. So she's capable of understanding other people. She's good at knowing what's real, what's true, and what's not. Okay? So let's keep going now. We have this phrasal verb, caught up. Caught is the past tense, of course, of catch. So when you're caught up in something, it means that you're so involved in something that you don't notice other things. I have a long sentence for you here as an example. I was caught up in the book I was reading and didn't realize that 2 hours had already passed. So imagine, I'm sure all of us are familiar with this situation. You're reading a really good book. All of your attention is on the book, and you forget about time. Time just goes, and suddenly you look up, and oh my God, 2 hours has passed. You could say, I was caught up in the book I was reading. I was caught up. So when you're caught up in something, you don't notice other things that are happening around you. And while I'm talking, feel free to try and use this phrasal verb in a sentence. I'll take a look at the comment section after. Okay? So, caught up in your show. Caught up in your show. Now we get the feel that there's a romance happening here, especially when the chorus starts happening. It becomes apparent that it's a romance. But caught up in your show. Well, what is a show? A show, in one sense, is something that's not real, right? When you go see a movie, when you go see a play or a concert, a show, it's something that's planned. It's something that's performed. It's not authentic and real in some sense. In some sense it is, but in some sense it's not real. It's a show that someone is putting on for other people, okay? So she says, caught up in your show. That means she was absorbed in his show that was going on, in this person's show. So this play or this show that this person was putting on, she was caught up in it. She didn't really notice what was going on. And of course, this happens when we are involved with someone romantically. At least at first, when we're really, really in love with someone, we tend to kind of forget about everything else that's happening in our life. We're so absorbed with this person. Our thoughts are entirely focused on this person. And then she says, yeah, at least now I know. The sentence continues into the chorus, which we'll look at in a second. But I wanted to talk about the phrase, at least here. I think some of you probably know it. It's a very, very important English phrase. We use it all the time, and you're really going to sound like a native English speaker if you're able to use it. But basically, what it is, we use it to add something positive, a positive comment about something negative. So imagine imagine something bad happens at work. You have a bad day at work. Maybe you get into a fight with your boss. You could walk outside and that thing happened that was negative, but you could say, well, at least the weather is nice today. At least the weather is nice. So you're adding a positive comment to this other thing that happened. Imagine that you're watching your favorite sports team play, and maybe one of the best players on the team gets injured, but your team still wins the game. So you could say, well, he was injured, but at least they won the game. You're adding something positive. I want you to try and use at least in a sentence. Anything here. You could say whatever you want, but I want you to try and use the phrase at least. So basically you're going to be saying something negative that happened or some negative thing, at least, and then some positive thing. I want you to try and use it. It's a very important phrase in English. We use it all the time. And yeah, I'm going to take a sip of water here and check back on the chat room. Okay. I was caught up in the guitar when I'd been playing for 2 hours with my friends. Cool. Let me just take a sip of water. So Sam, you could say a more natural way to say that would be to use the phrase get. So I got caught up playing guitar with my friend for 2 hours. Okay? I got caught up playing guitar with my friend for 2 hours. Another thing I should say is often we use this as an excuse when we're telling someone why we're late for something, or when we're telling someone about our day. I got caught up doing this one thing. I got caught up doing this other thing. That's one very common way that we use it. But you say, I was caught up playing guitar with my friend for 2 hours. Both work okay there. Great sentence, Sam. Thank you for that. Alan, catching up with mobile games, and when I check the time passing, I see how many hours fly wasted on the addicting games. Okay, so Alan, you could say Alan tends to get caught up playing mobile games. Okay? Alan, many people do that too, so be careful. I don't play those games myself, but I can understand how they are very addictive and how they take up a lot of time. Okay. Learning English, last but not least part of my daily life. Last but not least. So you're actually using a different phrase, Alan. You're using last but not least. So that's a good phrase where it's quite different than what I want you to use. I want you to use a sentence with the word at least, or with the phrase at least. But last but not least, for those of you who don't know, we use this phrase kind of, it's kind of a funny phrase. So when we have a list that we're reading out, let's say a list of people that we're reading out, the last person on the list, in order to make them feel like they're valuable, like everyone else on the list, because they're the last one, we say, so let's imagine my name was the last person on the list. Say, and last but not least, Jacob. Means last but not the least important, it means. So that's what Alan is using here in his sentence. Okay? So, great work, Alan. Thank you for that. And again, for those of you watching, try and use at least in a comment here. Try and use the word at least. Whatever you want. Any kind of phrase will work. I'm giving you complete freedom here. If you want to, you can try and use some of the phrases we were talking about earlier, like losing control, under control, stuff like that, and try and combine one sentence with the word at least. I'm going to keep going here, okay? Let's look at the chorus. So let's continue the sentence, actually. Yeah, at least now I know. It wasn't love. It wasn't love. So at least now I know. She was caught up in his show. She was caught up in his show, but at least, so this is the positive, at least now she knows it wasn't love. It wasn't love. It was a perfect illusion. Perfect illusion. Mistaken for love. It wasn't love. It wasn't love. It was a perfect illusion. Perfect illusion. So there's really two words that we need to look at here, and these also happen to be this also happens to be the title of the song, "Perfect Illusion." Okay, so perfect. Well, perfect, like most of you are probably aware, means as good as possible. Nothing bad or nothing missing. So you could say the weather was perfect today. And usually when we say that, we mean it was so nice and sunny. There were no clouds. It was perfect. It couldn't have been better. Okay, so we use perfect in that way. We also use perfect to mean kind of, they're similar in a sense, but completely or entirely. And it's used to emphasize something else. So she is a perfect romantic. We're really just trying to emphasize that she's a romantic. She's a perfect romantic. She's complete. She's entirely romantic. Okay? So that's the version that we are using here. Completely romantic. She's saying it's a perfect illusion. A complete illusion. And an illusion, of course. An illusion is something that appears different than it is. Okay, so we see something or we understand something that's different than how it is in reality. We perceive it differently. If you look at this picture here, it looks like things are moving. It looks like the picture is actually moving. But that's just our senses. We are perceiving it that way. In reality, it's not happening. It's an illusion. We call this an illusion. So it wasn't love. It wasn't love. It was a perfect illusion. A perfect illusion. It seemed like love. She perceived it as love, but it was an illusion. It wasn't love. So she's talking about a love story with this person, and we will talk more about what the hell this song actually means right now. But first, I'm going to check on the comment section. I saw a few comments, okay? Okay, so we got one from Sam who says, even though Samsung mobiles caught fire, at least they are willing to replace them. Okay, very good sentence. You're very close there. Even though Samsung mobiles caught fire, at least Samsung is willing to replace them. So you need to specify they, because right now they in your sentence is referring to Samsung mobiles, but I think you want to refer to the actual company who is going to replace the mobiles, the phones that caught fire. So even though Samsung mobile phones caught fire, at least they are willing to replace them, the phones, them being the phones. And you don't need the word but there. You could say at least. Even though Samsung mobile phones caught fire, at least they are willing to replace them. Even if my life is busy, at least studying with Jacob a few times a week makes me happy. Oh, Sadawat, you're such a sweetheart. That makes me happy too, that you are my student, and I really appreciate you being here, of course. So thank you so much. Thank all of you. Thanks everyone so much. I really can't say enough about how enjoyable it is to be here with all of you regularly. It's really cool to talk to people from all around the world just in my small little apartment here. So thank you so much. Even if my life is busy, better here would be even though my life is busy. You could say if too, it's okay. Even if my life is busy, at least studying. You need studying there. Studying with Jacob a few times a week makes me happy. You could, a more natural way to phrase this whole sentence, Sadawat, you could get rid of at least entirely. It works, but a different way you could phrase it, just for fun. Although my life is busy, studying with Jacob a few times a week makes me happy. That's probably the most natural way that you could phrase it. Alan, at least every day, keep in touch with your parents who are always looking forward to get and pay attention from their kids. Okay, so Alan, I think you might be still a little bit confused about at least. The way the sentence works is we, the way that I'm talking about this usage of the word at least is you're saying something that's kind of negative or has a negative implication, and then you use at least, and then you follow it with a positive. So I was really tired last week, but at least I got to see my brother. I was really, let's see, I went to bed really late, but at least I got to watch my favorite movie. Something like that, you could say. Alan says, when I'm drunk, life is more illusion than it has to be. Life is more illusion than it has to be. Okay, well, that's interesting. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying about what exactly you mean by that. But when I'm drunk, life is more illusion than it has to be. Yeah, I'll give you. So we have another question about illusion. Well, the easiest way to think about it is just the way that we sense something, the way that we understand something, is not actually the way that that thing is in reality. So right now I'm holding a blue pen, for example. Let's say that I saw, imagine if I saw that this pen was red, but in reality it was blue. You could say it's an illusion. I'm seeing an illusion. My sense of the pen being red is an illusion. The pen is actually blue, but I'm perceiving it as being red. So to me it's an illusion. That's an illusion. It's not actually red. A lot of the time with illusions, the trouble is that we don't actually know what's an illusion, right? A lot of the time that's why illusions are troubling. So for example, in this song, originally she was in love with this person. She thought it was love. At least that's what her lyrics imply. But it was an illusion. So at first, she didn't know it was an illusion. It seemed to her, it seemed like real love. Later, she realized that it was an illusion. It wasn't real love. It was an illusion. Seems like the Cavaliers are going to lose tonight. At least we made it into the final. Okay, so Sadawat is a basketball fan. Okay, seems like the Cavaliers are going to lose tonight. So we need to talk about the Cavaliers in plural there. It seems like the Cavaliers, I assume you're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. It seems like the Cavaliers are going to lose tonight. At least we made, past tense, we made it to the final. Into the final works too. Okay, so great sentence there. I was cheering for the Cavaliers too. I like LeBron James a lot, and Kyrie Irving especially. I like Kyrie Irving. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to watch the NBA Finals as much as I would have liked. But we will see what happens. The series isn't over yet, so let's see. Now, let's talk about what this song is actually about, because I think it's going to surprise you. It definitely surprised me when I started reading more about it and studying what other people have said, what Lady Gaga herself has said. But let's talk about it. And again, this is my interpretation. I've based on my own impression of the song and stuff that I've read about the song. So first and foremost, it seems to be about breakups, love, and romance. Okay, so of course, I think that many of us, anyone who's been in a relationship that has ended, in a serious relationship that has ended, has probably felt this. So when you first meet someone and you're so incredibly in love with that person, your entire life becomes about that person. And, you know, for the first little while in a relationship, there's this, in English we say the honeymoon phase of a relationship, the honeymoon phase, when everything is just incredible, amazing, and you're totally in love with that person. And you have this ideal of what that relationship is going to be like. You kind of imagine that it will always be like that. that you'll always have this love. And sometimes when we have these strong feelings, when we feel these incredibly strong emotions, and then when that relationship ends, we are left questioning if these feelings that we had were real, if that was actually true love, or if it was just a perfect illusion, right? Uh, I know I've felt this way before when I've gotten out of relationships. Many of my friends have talked about it too. That feeling where we're kind of doubting our own perceptions, we're doubting what's real about someone else, about a relationship, about love in general. So it's a very confusing feeling. And I think that this song is talking about that a lot, especially the first part that we talked about when she's trying to keep control, but pressure is taking its toll. She's stuck in the middle. She's describing a very difficult situation where she's kind of anxious, nervous, confused. A lot of stuff is happening, and I think it nicely describes this emotion that we feel when a relationship ends, when we lose someone who we really cared about deeply. So, in one sense, it's talking about that. Now, what's really interesting about this song is that Lady Gaga actually says that she seems to admit that it's about someone in her own life, a man who she had a relationship with. So it seems to be in part about that. But it's also about social media, according to Lady Gaga. So this is where the song gets really interesting for me. She said that it's a commentary on social media and presenting an idealized version of yourself. Once again, Lady Gaga said that this song is a commentary, so the song is commenting, on social media and presenting an idealized version of yourself. So what does that mean exactly? Well, on social media, I'm sure you probably, all of you have had similar experiences. I know that sometimes when I go on social media, when you go onto Facebook or Instagram, whatever, specifically the picture sites, those kind of websites, oftentimes you're looking at all of your friends' profiles, all of the people you follow, and you feel kind of empty. You feel like you're missing out on something because you see these people who are posting all of these amazing pictures. Often people are traveling, they're doing all of these amazing things in life, and you look at your own life and you realize, well, I'm not doing any of that. I'm tired. I have all these things that I have to do. My life doesn't look like all of these other people's lives. And so I think that's what she's talking about here, that we present on social media, the pictures that we post, we choose what we present. And oftentimes we choose the photos that we choose together, they kind of make up this ideal version of our life. They present a version of our life that's not actually real. It's just what we choose. It's kind of the best moments of our life, the highlights, if you will. Okay, so she's talking about the dangers of that and the confusion of that. I want to quickly read a quote by her. And this is about this song. This is what she had an interview with BBC, and she was talking about this song. So this is what she said. It's quite interesting. I think you'll be able to understand most of it. It's a little long, but let's read it. So she says, I believe so many of us are wondering why there are so many fake things around us. How do we navigate through social media? How do we look through these images that we know are filtered and altered and decipher? Decipher just means understand. What is reality and what is a perfect illusion? There are also a lot of things on the internet that are not reality. And I think people are pressured to keep that personal illusion going on in their lives. So that's really interesting there. People are pressured to keep that personal illusion going on in their real lives. So for example, she's saying when we post pictures on Facebook of our own lives, when we post these pictures of us traveling and doing all these things and living this really amazing life, we kind of feel this pressure to act out that life in reality. So when we're with people, we feel this pressure inside of us to be like we are on social media, if you will. Okay? So this song is about raging against it. Raging against something. It's not a very common phrase, but raging against it means getting angry about it. Raging against it and letting it go. It's about wanting people to re-establish that human connection. So it's really leads me to my last point, which is what the title of this video was, Truth and Authenticity. About relationships, about how we present ourselves, and about life in general. It's very difficult now more than ever, I think, to try and make our way through life and understand what is true, what is real. I mean, there's all of this fake news stuff that's going on. There's just, with the internet, it's almost impossible now to really know what is true and what is real. And it's become more difficult than ever to navigate through life, trying to tell the truth and trying to be real to ourselves and with other people. So this song really seems to be talking about that. So on the surface level, we have this breakup story, it seems, and we have this comment on that feeling of not knowing what's true love, kind of doubting how she's feeling, doubting if this relationship was true love, doubting how this person is presenting himself, doubting everything that's real about the relationship. And then she's talking about social media in general. So truth and authenticity, knowing what's true, telling the truth, and the difficulty that comes when you're trying to do that. I have some homework for you. That's all I have for the presentation. I've got 4 questions. Now, I'm not going to wait for, I don't know, you can read these questions and try and answer one or none or all of them if you want. I kind of just added these questions to get you thinking a little bit more about the song, about the lyrics. By the way, I know we only looked at the first part of the song, but I put the link to the YouTube video of the song. It's in the description of this video. I'm getting tired right now. I can't speak anymore. It's in the description of this video. So I would challenge you, and I'd highly recommend after studying it, to go listen to the full song and see what you think of it. Listen to the rest of the song and ask me questions about that. But let's look at these questions. What is one thing that concerns you about social media? What is one way that social media has made your life better? What else do you think Lady Gaga might be trying to say in this song? And how does the sound of the music contribute to the meaning of the song? So, of course, for this last question, you're going to actually have to listen to the song, and you can find that in the description of this video. That is all I have for you today. Let me just check back on the comment section. Martina says that speech is very interesting. Yes, I really agree, and I think what's fascinating about this song is that you don't, at least when I read these lyrics, I was not thinking about social media at all. It just seemed like a breakup song to me. It seemed like a song about love. Okay? Sam says, what's decipher? Decipher just means to understand something. So when we are interpreting a song, when we're reading a song, we're trying to decipher the meaning of the song, you could say. So it's a fancy way of saying trying to understand something. Okay, Alan says, don't trust beauty of girls and ladies by their picture on their profile and cover pictures, especially on Facebook. Alan, I think men are equally guilty on that front. I know that myself for sure. I put filters on my photos sometimes, and I try to make myself look as good as possible. Actually, I got some photos taken for my profile for Jacob Teacher and for my website and stuff that I'm doing. One of my friends is a professional photographer. and he's going to Photoshop these images and make me look better. So it's just kind of the reality of our world right now, I think, is that, and Facebook and social media, is that we're all trying to present this version of ourselves that is, not real in a sense, that is better than we are in a sense. Okay, so that is all that I have for you today. This is officially the longest live lesson I've ever done, and my voice is getting a little tired, and I'm a little tired myself too. That is all that I have for you today. You can answer these questions if you want. Think about them and answer them in the comment section if you want. Like I said, I mainly just wanted to challenge you to think deeper about this song and to get you thinking about it, really. So I hope that you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And yeah, I will see you next week in the next live lesson. I'm going to post another video, something that I recorded on my YouTube channel this weekend, so keep an eye out for that. If you like this video, if you appreciate what I'm doing, as always, you are free to give a thumbs up and to share this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. I love doing these live lessons with you, and thank you all so much for being with me. I will see you later. Bye-bye.